Ron expressed that he would like to hear more said about Ukraine. And so I wanted to remind people that we'll be continuing to say the prayer for peace, and that on the Beth Torah Facebook page, you can see a list of all the organizations where you can make donations to support Ukrainian refugees and the Ukrainian government. My friend Ron lives in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's originally from Canada. And in January, he drove across the border. He was stopped at customs for the routine question, "What is your business in Canada?" And he answered he was going to help his parents move from their home to assisted living. The guard at the border said, "That sounds very hard. I hope everything goes as smoothly for you and your family as possible." It's not a custom agent's job to care about the well-being of people crossing the border. It's 20 degrees outside. And the custom agent must have asked this question dozens of times that day. But he still found the humanity to make a compassionate comment to my friend Ron. You know what else? Being able to really look at people and hear people probably makes this custom agent better at his real job, which is keeping the borders of Canada safe and noticing what people are saying and doing. Being a customs agent is a mundane job. But when it's done well, it does have the potential to save lives. And I bet it's hard to remember that when you ask the same question dozens of times a day and you can't feel your fingers and toes. Lots of life is routine and boring or annoying. But when we're able to do our tasks, we can experience holiness. Now, this sermon is coming out of a text that Ron and I studied together this week, and you'll have to bear with me. Keep in mind the relatable story of the crossing of the Canadian border while I share the text that Ron and I were looking at. I promise you they relate. The Toldot Yaakov Yosef, one of the Hasidic masters, taught one of the sayings from Ecclesiastes, which is, "Whatever is in your power to do, do with all your might." Then the Hasidic master says, well, that reminds me of Enoch, who is a character mentioned for about two sentences in the beginning of the book of Genesis, who had an unusual death. And so Enoch, because he had this unusual death, didn't die, he became the angel Metatron. And as we all know, the angel Metatron appears as a cobbler to human beings. Okay, let me help you out here. Okay, let's start with this idea of the angel Metatron. Why the heck is the angel appearing in the guise of a cobbler, a shoemaker? First of all, most human beings cannot tolerate the sight of a divine being in its natural form. Okay, so it makes sense. The angel Metatron has to manifest as something that we can relate to. But then why, of all professions, is the angel sitting there as a shoemaker? If you think about a cobbler's job, they sit all day long and they stitch together the sole of the shoe to the vamp of the shoe. Their job is to connect that which is below to that which is above, just as an angel's job is to convey connections between divinity and humanity. They are a creature somewhat in between. But now, what does this angel cobbler have to do with the quote from Ecclesiastes, "Whatever is in your power to do, do it with all your might"? Imagine you are the great angel Metatron, and one minute you're soaring through the heavens and delivering the word of God to human beings, and the next minute your job is to put together a shoe. You might be a little bit bored. But the truth is, when a shoe is well made, It carries a person on the journey of his or her or their life. It might not be very exciting for an angel to make shoes, but it turns out that the results can be spectacular. And you know what else? Even if you have a very exciting job, I bet it becomes routine and mundane at some point. Oh, do you know what I did today? I flew an F-22 Raptor. Oh, do you know what I did today? I performed open heart surgery and saved a guy's life. Anything can become routine if we let it. Sometimes I forget how special my job is. Last week, I needed to roll the Torah to the right spot for our reading on Shabbat, and I got the Torah out of the ark and said, kippah, talit. I forgot, because I'm so used to being able to handle Torah scrolls and read from Torah scrolls that I needed to take a beat and remember, actually, it's extraordinary to have a scroll in front of me that's over 100 years old, that has been written in the same manner that scribes have been writing Torah scrolls for thousands of years, that contains the Word of God, and I'm rolling it to the right spot so that our community can celebrate Shabbat together. Even a spectacular job can become mundane if we let it. So what is the antidote to not doing things well? Like all great religions, we practice mindfulness and gratitude. It is that simple. And the Jewish way to do that is to fulfill God's mitzvot, a whole system of moments to notice holiness and express thankfulness for it. That Canadian customs agent was doing what was in his power to do with all his might. And he made my friend's trip to move his parents into their new home and face the fact that they are aging and losing their independence a little more bearable. Whatever your daily tasks might be, know that they are important and they do make a difference. And though we might look like cobblers, we are actually angels.